All right, let me just see if this live stream is working. I'm just starting to do these. I'm new to this, so let's see if this is actually working now. All right, and it looks like we are working. Let me make sure the volume's okay here. Hello? All right, and it looks like we are. Okie doke, so let's head into this. Let's start with this image here of Hurricane Maria. Hurricane Maria is now a Category 5 hurricane. Well, it has been for a while, but it's now a Category 5 hurricane with winds of 175 miles an hour. That's just 10 miles an hour short of the top wind speed of Hurricane Irma, which was in this same general area less than 2 weeks ago. Hurricane Maria crossed over the island of Dominica last night at around 9:15 p.m. I think that was Atlantic Standard Time, and caused tremendous devastation. The eye crossed the entire island last night. Moving to today, it has been continuously strengthening since then. Throughout the day, the pressure has been lowering and lowering and lowering. The pressure is now down to 909 millibars. That is lower than Hurricane Irma ever got to. I have an image here of that as we move through here. Okay, so here you can see where Maria is right now with the, it is the 10th strongest storm in the Atlantic hurricane basin here. You can see Irma now is dropped to the bottom of this list here with 914 millibars as its lowest pressure. And we have Wilma here with the lowest pressure recorded in the Atlantic basin with 882 millibars. And you can see here with winds of 185 miles an hour. And you go down the list and we have here 175 miles an hour. If I was to guess, I would say that the winds may go up a little bit, maybe to 185 miles an hour on the next update, because of the fact that it has such a low pressure. Winds usually correlate with pressure. As you can see, most of the time with the lowest pressure, you get winds of 185, 180. Here we had a pressure of 899 with 190 mile an hour winds. So, I wouldn't be surprised if the winds went up a little bit and the pressure went down actually a little bit. We can see here now that this is the 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time update. Winds of 175 miles an hour moving to the west-northwest at 10 miles an hour. You can see here the latest radar out of, I think this would probably be St. Croix radar or Puerto Rico. I'm not 100% sure. But you can see the radar here with the eye wall here where the strongest winds have been recorded right in this area over here. St. Croix to the northwest here. Winds are already sustained at 41 with gusts to 69. So it's already tropical storm force winds in these outer bands and with gusts almost to hurricane force. St. Thomas now is winds of 36 miles an hour with gusts to 62, so very similar. And here in San Juan, we have sustained winds of 17 miles an hour with gusts to 32, and weather is deteriorating in that area quickly. The eye of the storm is forecast to move west-northwest with maybe a little jog to the north and come across Puerto Rico on the eastern side, so the southeastern coast, and move up towards San Juan. And people are also saying, maybe because there's a mountain chain right in the center of Puerto Rico that it may weaken the storm as it moves through. And yes, that is true. The storm will weaken as it crosses Puerto Rico, but not by much. If this still has winds of 175 miles an hour as it makes landfall here on the coast of Puerto Rico. The winds, by the time the eye gets to San Juan on the northern coast here, will still be upwards of 150 miles an hour. Because, Puerto Rico is not a very big island. It's relatively small. So most of the circulation will still be over water. So the mountains will have an impact, but not as much as you would like. Okay, so here you can also see the islands here, Antigua and Barbuda. The conditions are getting much better over there. They really lucked out with this storm not coming over them. But it's just, this storm is just a wonder. This is just, it's baffling me from a meteorological standpoint how we could have had a storm of similar strength less than 2 weeks ago passing over Barbuda. I mean, in the same general area and going in this direction. I mean, it's just amazing how you can have two storms like this. And then even Jose, which passed just a little bit further north, less than 2 weeks ago. It's just crazy. All right, and moving on here. This is the projected path as of now, as of the 9 p.m. update. You can see here the tropical storm force winds extend out pretty far from the center, actually, encompassing most of the northern Leeward Islands here and the Virgin Islands. And that's in orange here. And the purple here, in the center here, that is hurricane force winds. And you can see they're getting ominously close to the coast of St. Croix and moving in the general direction of Puerto Rico. It's showing 150 mile an hour winds by the time it makes landfall here in Puerto Rico. And that's after it made landfall. So, that's Wednesday p.m. So it should be making landfall sometime between Wednesday morning and Wednesday afternoon before moving out back over the water, scraping pretty close to, if not over, the Dominican Republic here. And then it has its eyes set on the Turks and Caicos, which were also pounded by Hurricane Irma less than 2 weeks ago. Luckily, the system seems as if it is going to move to the north, the northwest, and then the north as time goes by, due to the interaction between Maria and what is left over from Hurricane Jose to the north, which is hanging around the New England area. Basically, just to in simple layman's terms for people who really don't understand what is going on with meteorology, basically what we have is we have a high pressure system out here, which is steering Maria on its periphery. Okay, you also have a high pressure system over the eastern United States. Now, usually what would happen would be that those two would connect, and it would cause Maria here to move in more of a west-northwest direction and continue and maybe come somewhere on the southeast coast of the United States. Now, what Hurricane Jose, and soon to be Tropical Storm Jose, is doing is it's causing a weakness in between those two high pressure systems and causing them to not connect. And Maria will hopefully follow that weakness and move to the northwest, then the north, and then move harmlessly out to sea between North Carolina and Bermuda. Hopefully not getting anywhere near Bermuda. Let me see here. What's going on? This is my first time doing this kind of thing here, so I just heard a ding, and I'm just wondering what that ding was. Oh, Yeah, evacuate. That's what the ding was. Exactly. Everyone in Puerto Rico should be evacuating immediately and going to a safe area. This is just not a good situation for Puerto Rico or the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. Um, it's really not a good situation here. All right, so the U.S. and British Virgin. What was I saying here? Okay, getting back to this. I mean, every time I look at this hurricane on the visible and then moving to the infrared satellite here, it's just amazing. The tiny eye, less than 10 miles wide, it still has not gone through an eye wall replacement cycle, which is kind of amazing because Hurricane Irma went through quite a few eye wall replacement cycles, um, through uh, through the time that she was strengthening. This one has not yet. The only saving grace for Puerto Rico could be that this may go through an eye wall replacement cycle it before it reaches Puerto Rico or as it's reaching, which will drop the winds down a little bit. Um, but it's anyone's guess. Those are super hard to predict. I mean, you can't really predict when they're going to happen until they're happening. Anyway, moving back to this here. All right, so there's the projected forecast. It will start to weaken, luckily, as it reaches towards the Turks and Caicos and then beyond. This is due to increasing wind shear. Right now, it's under an area where there is very, very low wind shear, almost non-existent, and I mean, you can see that here with the visible satellite image. I mean, there's there's no wind shear whatsoever. You can't see anything. It's breathing. It's got great outflow. I mean, great inflow. It's got a full central dense overcast here. Perfectly symmetrical looking storm. Just that perfect Category 5 buzzsaw look. Okay, so let's move back to this and see what else I had to show you here. And this doesn't want to change for me for some reason here. Let's close this out. Okay, so here we have the watches and warnings for Hurricane Maria. We got hurricane warnings in this purple color here. So we got hurricane warnings for the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, the northeastern coast of the Dominican Republic, and we have hurricane watches out for the Turks and Caicos and the eastern tip of the Dominican Republic, with tropical storm warnings out for the St. Kitts, Nevis, not Antigua Barbuda, sorry, the Guadeloupe area, and St. Martin here, also under a hurricane watch. But these will soon be dropped since the hurricane will be moving away from these islands in the near future. And then we also have tropical storm warnings for the rest of the Dominican Republic and the northern side, and also most of the southern side of the Dominican Republic, where they are expecting a very close call, if not maybe a landfall somewhere on the north side of the Dominican Republic. And then, the hurricane watches here out for the southeast Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos, with the hurricane forecast to move just to the north, if not through the Turks and Caicos. Now let's go back and look here at the recon. This is where the hurricane hunters have just flown through. Let's see if there's any updates here, because this is a little while ago. Okay, no updates. They must be done with the latest reconnaissance mission here. But you can see we had a pressure reading here of 920 millibars. It dropped to 916 on the next pass, 913, 910, and then 911. But in between here, it must have gotten a reading of the 909, and that's what they put out as the forecast. You can see here at the extreme level of the wind speeds here, 137 knots, which is Category 5 force winds, you can see them, all around this area, with everything in purple being hurricane force. And then as you move further out, you've got the tropical storm force in red and orange here. So you can see it's got a pretty big wind field, pretty wide wind field, and the eye right here. And yeah, I mean, 909 millibars. That's very, very intense. Here we have the intensity guidance from the models here, and quite a few of them keep it at a category 5 hurricane, some strengthening it even further, whereas these ones here are showing it most likely, these ones are showing it making landfall in Puerto Rico, which is causing it to weaken, whereas these ones are showing it not making landfall in Puerto Rico. So these models must have it slipping in between. So, most likely it's going to follow the majority of the models here, where it's going to be slowly weakening from now on, reaching category 4 strength within 24 hours and maintaining that category 4 strength until about, until at least 72 hours through, and then, like I said, as it keeps moving away from Puerto Rico and then to the northwest and the north, it will continue to weaken, most likely due to an area of higher wind shear. No, that's not the one I wanted to go to. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it. We'll just look back here at the amazing satellite image. I mean, just crazy. Here in the island of St. Croix, they've got to be really careful, because any jog this system, the eye takes to the north, could bring the eye wall over St. Croix in short order here. It's just a dangerous situation here for St. Croix. And then further down the road, a little further down the road, then we've got Puerto Rico. Everyone in Puerto Rico should have already finished their preparations. They should be in a sturdy shelter. I mean, very sturdy shelter, and away from the water, and also away from flood-prone areas. Storm surge may reach up to 11 feet above normal dry ground. Okay, 11 feet. That is a lot of water moving on shore from this storm. Also, this storm will have winds of over 150 miles an hour, most likely. You will not survive this storm if you are not in a sturdy structure. I can't emphasize that enough. You have to be in a very, very sturdy shelter. Do not go outside in this storm. If the eye passes over you, do not go out to look and see the damage. You should be staying indoors until the hurricane is over. The eye is very, very small. You will not have enough time to go out and, survey damage and then go back in before the second half of the storm, the back half of the eye wall comes over you. I mean, it would be amazing to go out, don't get me wrong, and see the blue skies through this amazing pinhole eye, but don't do it. You will have minutes, okay? Again, very serious situation for Puerto Rico in the near future, and then moving on to the Dominican Republic, and then to the Turks and Caicos. I'll be back tomorrow morning with the latest update here, most likely as it is making landfall in Puerto Rico. So check back for the latest updates. Listen to the authorities in your area. Check back for updates on weather.gov. And also, you can go to the Weather Channel for the latest updates. That's where I got all this information from the Weather Channel, from the National Weather Service Hurricane Forecast Office, and from tropicaltidbits.com, which has a lot of great information for tracking these hurricanes. All right, so that's it for this evening, and I will talk to you guys later. All right, thank you so much for joining in. Please share this with anyone who would be interested in these videos. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys later.